Shalom. It's good to be back, man. This is going to be a very long lesson. I'm just telling you right now. Hopefully it's very informative. I've done a lot of research in a short amount of time. Kind of on a tight schedule because I have school assignments to get to and stuff like that. So let me give you a little bit of a preview of what's going to come. See, I've actually decided to remake my video on the Taino Indians and Asinith in the Northern Kingdom. So, this is just going to be my thumbnail for the video. But this is the foremother of the Taino Indians and many different tribes on the earth that are scattered, because out of all the 12 tribes, the tribe of Ephraim is actually the biggest tribe. So most of the Israelites on earth are actually from the tribe of Ephraim, believe it or not. Even so, there's a lot of proof that the people of the West Indies are indeed descendants of the tribe of Joseph. Maybe not necessarily Ephraim, but definitely of Joseph. Now, what you see here, you actually see, a light-skinned man with a kind of a broad nose, thick lips, very thick hair, and cornrows. And not only that, he has very thick hair, and he has a gold crown or a gold headband, very similar to Asinith. See that? Very interesting. And if you look at a lot of traditional Taino women, they all wear this headband. I just find that very interesting. So they know where they come from. So I'm going to make, a video on that, because that video that I made was kind of messy. So I'm going to redo that video. That's kind of crazy though, because if you look, this person actually has kind of like almond eyes or Asiatic eyes a little bit, which is common in the West Indies. I can imagine how it was back then. Issachar was telling Ephraim, hey, Holmes, you can't really be doing all that sacrificing to Baal, Holmes, or, we gonna get jacked up, Holmes. And Ephraim was like, do you care? He did not care. By the way, this is a drawing that my sister did of Asinith. She loves Asinith because she loves Joseph. She loves what he did and his sacrifices and stuff. She really does appreciate who he was, and she loves the story. So she drew a very nice picture of Asinith, who is possibly our foremother. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get into this lesson. I'm kind of this is a bit much, so I'm very sorry if I'm not able to organize everything I need to. So hopefully with this lesson, we'll be closer to moving to, like Dennis Brown is talking about, the promised land. So if you guys remember this video that I did on Arida of Joktan, the wife of Issachar the Mexicans, when the Spanish got here, they thought that the people of Mexico or Mesoamerica, they were from Ektan or Ophir, right? They thought they were from Ophir. Now you guys see in the title, Ophir is the Philippines. So what are they saying? They're saying that the Indians of Mesoamerica looked like Filipinos. Kinda, right? Not entirely, because, you can kind of see the so-called, I hate using this term, but Negro in them. So I'm just putting that out there. But anyway, I wanted to get to this, because this person left a bombshell of a comment. And I didn't study it, but I archived it, and now I'm getting to it now. I'm sorry if this is too loud. I can't tell. So he said, Joktan is a dwelling place in Misha or Mishad, Iran, right? And it is. Some of it is in the Middle East, but most of where Joktan went was actually to the Orients. It said he goes to the mount, to Sephar, Mount of the East. So let's look up Sephar. So it says, it is written after the enumeration of the sons of Joktan. The enumeration. So they're innumerable, right? Let's get to who Joktan is, because maybe you guys don't remember or don't know. So Joktan is from Shem, but specifically they're from Eber. Eber, the word Hebrew comes from Eber. So everyone who's a Hebrew comes from Eber. Now, Joktan is one of the sons of Eber. Eber had two sons. He had Peleg and Joktan. You know, the Israelites come from Peleg. The people of the Orients, they come from Joktan. And as you can tell, they had a lot of children. They're an innumerable people, right? These are the people of the Orients, of the South Orients, of down here pretty much, possibly in Japan, after I did that video. I'm not entirely sure if they're Israelites, but they're definitely Shemites, they're definitely Hebrews. So I know that. And I circled these two, Ophir and Sheba. You've heard of Sheba before, right? So now, if Joktan are the so-called Orientals, right, the Asians, who was Queen Sheba? Where is Sheba? These are important questions to ask. Now, these people in red, these are our traitors. These are Shemites, but these are the Shemites that betrayed us. Because they're all jealous of us. Elam, Asher, Ishmael, Edom, Moab, Ammon. I circled this. I wasn't sure. I thought this and this were the same thing. I don't think they are, but you know, I'm sorry for whoever this is. I circled you by accident. But look, Midian, who Moses married. So these are the nations that it talks about in the scriptures that have conspired against us. These Shemites, along with some people from Japheth and some people from Ham, they all conspired against the Israelites. And they all also conspired against Joktan, believe it or not. Now, this is one of the routes that Joktan possibly took. Because again, Joktan, a lot of the people are in southern China, India, just the southern area, right, of the east. And that actually will go down into the islands. This right here, it shows the split that happened at the Tower of Babel, which is in Shinar. Now, for the people who think that America's Israel, let's go over here. They think Shinar's over here, right? Because the Tower of Babel, the only inkling of a tower is in Quebec or northern United States or Canada, in that area. So please tell me, how could they have split here? How did Ham get all the way to Africa from here? How did Japheth populate all the way over there? And what, Shem came over here? I mean, you can say that, but that's a lot less likely than this occurring. You know, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. If it makes sense to you, okay. But this is why the Book of Mormon is so important, because it tells us what is a lie and what isn't. Keeps us away from false doctrines. If you don't want to believe it, you know, that's on you. But to me, it makes a lot more sense. But anyway, let's examine this comment a bit more. So we know that Sephar, or the Mount of Sephar, is in the east. Doesn't mean that it's in the Middle East. It can mean that it's much more east. But he's going to add some more precepts. Ophir and Sheba is the uttermost part of the earth. The isles, right? And he has a point, because look, this is Psalm 72, verses 8 through 11. Wait, is this the right one? Most parts. Where do you get that from? I think I did not get the scripture for that. He says the uttermost part of the earth. Let me look this up. I think I missed that one. Garden of Eden is in the Philippines. I don't know about that. The Garden of Eden is above the earth. I don't know, bro. If I remember, I'll put it in the comment section or description. But that's his claim. He said that Ophir is in the uttermost part of the earth. But I pulled this up for a reason. Let me just read it. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring him presents. The kings of Sheba and Sheba shall offer gifts. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. Obviously, this is talking about Hamashiac, the Son of the Most High. Immanuel. I can't, man, I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't have this. Let me see. Let me see if I could look this phrase up in the Bible. Did it use this phrasing? I'm messing up my video. I'm very sorry. Let's just move on. So let's go on to this part, because maybe you're not convinced that Joktan or Ophir is in the Philippines based on what he said, right? Because he said that it's from the Isles. It says that to go to Tarshish and Ophir takes 3 years, right? Now he makes some good points. Arabia is not the uttermost part of the earth. Arabia is not the Isles. Arabia does not take 3 years journey. Now the Isles, that's talking about Tarshish, right? I'm going to explain to you why that is. Tarshish is a part of the Isles of the Gentiles. It's not the same sort of Isles of Ophir. And it uses transport to travel to Jerusalem. So he makes up a very good point. He's saying that you don't need ships to travel to Ophir if Ophir is in Arabia. Solomon needed ships to go to Ophir, right? So let's go here. We know that Peleg migrated to Babylon because his descendants dwelt there. But Joktan did not go with Peleg into Babylon. This pre-Babylonian sojourn is an important factor, for it helps us to know the location of Joktan's migration route. He must have separated from the caravan before they came to Babylon because he chose to go east. Right? We've heard that word again, east. Bring this up again. It doesn't make sense. From here, east is that way. Now, if you want to say that the maps were flipped, east is this way. Again, it makes sense, but it doesn't make full sense, right? So the caravan migrating westwards towards Babylon was already in the east. So Joktan's direction to go eastward means that he separated from the caravan and turned towards the Orients. We have our own translation of Genesis 10 and 30 later on. Some Bible scholars have offered an opinion that Joktan migrated into Arabia because of his two sons, Sheba and Havila, have the same names as two tribes in Arabia. But those Arabian tribes are of Cushite descent, in the lineage of Ham, and are not the lineage of Shem at all. Arabia is part of the migration route to Africa, the land of Cush. Therefore, the first peoples in Arabia were Cushite, the lineage of Ham. The separation of Peleg's clan and Joktan's clan made two Hebrew peoples, the Western Hebrews of Western Asia and the Eastern Hebrews of Eastern Asia. Most nations of Eastern Asia have Hebrew ancestry. And that's why I'm kind of backtracking with all the people that I see having fringes and such. Because just because they have fringes, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're Israelites. Because yeah, the Japanese, they've gone through hell. They've had similar things happen to them as the Israelites. But are they actually Israelites? I don't know. They could be. They could not be. But there's something very similar about them with the Israelites. You know. And if you're going to say that they're not, then you kind of have to say the same thing about everyone else who's literally not a Black American. Because Black Americans, they fit the curses more than anyone else on earth. I'm not talking about Caribbean blacks. I'm not talking about West African blacks. I'm not talking about Mexicans. I'm not talking about South Americans. I'm not talking about North American Indians. I'm talking about so-called Black Americans. They fit the curses better than everyone else on earth. So does that mean that only they're the Israelites? That would be a ridiculous thing to say. You know, everyone else has a culture. Black Americans have no culture at all. That's why they're so hateful towards everyone else. It's for that reason, because they've been treated the worst. But does that mean that only they're Israelites? No, it doesn't. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing of well, who is and who isn't, because we're all treated in a similar way, you know. And to me, if we're treated in a similar way, then we're allies. If you love the Most High, you love His Son, and you've been treated harshly just like we have, then we're allies, aren't we? We are cousins, aren't we? Isn't Joktan our cousins? You know, they're our cousins, and they're the only ones who didn't really betray us like the other Shemites did, right? So let's continue. Noah's flood erased pre-flood place names, but new names were given after the flood. Biblical name meaning is important. Genesis 10:30. Misha means departure, indicating Joktan's place of departure from the caravan. His group took their departure from some place on the Iranian plateau or Central Asia, and that place of departure, Misha, was the starting point of Joktanite settlement. Joktan's claim must have been the first to scout the ancient Silk Road that later became the main road of migration into East Asia. Misha, the departure point, was the start of the Silk Road, and that's what I showed you before, right? Where was I? The Silk Road's ancient start was near the city of Mashhad in northeastern Iran, which is what this brother said over here. The Iranian name Mashhad had its origin from the ancient Hebrew name Misha. The phrase in the direction of Sephar is from the Hebrew word Sepharah and literally means towards a numerous population. I think he means an innumerous population instead of a name. If we take the word meaning, this word is prophetic of the numerous population in China and throughout the Orient. Interesting claim, right? The phrase, the hill country of the East, is from Har HaKadim, and a literal translation is the mountain of the Orient. So, this is our own literal translation of Genesis 10:30. And their dwelling place shall be from the departure point, as you go towards a numerous population, the mountain of the Orient. The mountain of the Orient can just be a symbolic term for the numerous East Asian populations, or it may have been a special mountain marking the far eastern extent of the Joktanite populace. But either way, it certainly means that the Orientals are Joktan's descendants. Joktan is indicated from the context of Genesis 10:30. I will leave this link in the description if you guys want to read the rest of it. But let's move on. Now, here's the thing though. It's not only Joktan that populates the Orients. It is also the Sinites. Now, with anything else, you have to pick the meat out of the bones. The name of this people is still to be found today in cities of Nar as Sin and Sin Adarab, which are both in close proximity to Arak. The Phoenicians knew the Sinites as Usan. The Assyrians called them the Usana and Sayanu, and the Ugaritic tablets refer to them as the Sin. Now they say the haplogroup D, of course. See, when people use haplogroups to try to identify entire groups of people, it makes no sense. As I said before, many Israelites share the haplogroup E1B1A. But guess who else shares the haplogroup E1B1A? One of the pharaohs of Egypt. So that's a bunch of hogwash. The Sinites are connected with Sinim, which may be applied to regions both east and south of the Holy Land. In any event, the name is certainly connected with the Sinai, sometimes spelt Tinai or Thinai. It kind of reminds me of Thailand. The name may be connected with the Sinai or Sin. Alright, so I'm just letting you know that the Sinites are in Asia as well, are in China. Right, let me move down. Today, we still speak in terms of Sino-Japanese relations and so forth. Of further interest is that the Chinese regard Sangfu, or Father Sin, capital of Sanix province, as the origin of their civilization. Undoubtedly, the Sinites spent some time in China anciently, leading their name to that country. But where did they move to afterwards? So they believe that the Sinites were in China, but then went to Australia. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to tell you that not everyone is one thing, right? No, everyone's really mixed. And this is another E1B1A nationalist, So he claims that Joktan are for haplogroup D, and they're the Asians, and haplogroup E is the Negroes, right? So, he can believe what he wants to, but see, when everyone, when they're trying to put like push their own narrative, you can sometimes find the truth. So I try to pick things out of what people say, because I believe some people of haplogroup D are actually Israelites. Some people of haplogroup E are not. Haplogroups, they just tell you, a common lineage, but that doesn't mean that you literally descend from one of these people far back. No, it means that the farthest they can trace your paternal lineage, they had common features with one of these people. That's the best I can make sense of it. Because otherwise, you can't trace that, bro. You cannot trace someone that far back. If that was the case, they would have killed us all already. Doesn't make any sense. And they would not have released it. Are you kidding me? They would have been killed us. So for the people who think that ancient Israel's in Utah or Peru, please tell me how this takes 3 years to get to Ophir. How does this take 3 years? This doesn't take 3 years. And if wherever you think Tarshish is, if you want to say, well, maybe they took it here and then they traveled to Spain. Okay, maybe. Because that's where Tarshish is supposedly, right? But it does not take 3 years to get to the Philippines from here. I just wanted to point that out. So now Sheba. Now, this is a kingdom mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. Sheba features in Jewish, Muslim, and Christian, particularly Ethiopian Christian traditions. It was the home of the biblical Queen of Sheba, who is left unnamed in the Bible, but receives the name Makeda in Ethiopian and in Arabic tradition. Now, this is where we're going to get into the predominantly scholarly view is that the biblical narrative about the kingdom of Sheba was based on the ancient civilization of Saba in South Arabia. So they keep trying to put Joktan, or the peoples of Joktan, in Arabia. The reason why that is because they're trying to hide where Joktan is. For good reason. They keep saying, oh, they went here. And this was the east that it was talking about. These people, they're all from Japheth. Like that's, oh my goodness. This people, we don't know who they are. We don't know, but their lands have all these gold. What do you mean? Oh, we don't know. They're a bunch of liars. Queen Sheba was she was an Oriental, believe it or not. I'm just putting that out there. So, how long does it take a ship to go from the U.S. to the Philippines? 2 to 6 weeks. What? 2 to 6 weeks? Wow. So they must have had, I don't know what they were doing for the other 2 years and 11 months. What Solomon and his crew was doing. Silly. Ancient Israel ain't in America, bro. Does not fit in the scriptures. I want you guys to check out this video. Actually, I'll look at it later. I wanted to establish where Tarshish is, so you don't get caught up in, in the bones. So Tarshish, right? So people have been arguing about where Tarshish is for a long time. They say probably Tarhissus, a city and emporium of the Phoenicians in the south of Spain, represented as one of the sons of Javan. Now, when I was researching where Tarshish was, I have to agree that I think that Tarshish is actually in Spain. Now, I'm going to show you something. This is, Babylon to Timbuktu. I don't know if this book is on the Google Drives or not, but I have it here. So, the third classification of mankind was the Japhites, from Japheth, who was the youngest son of Noah. The offspring of Japheth occupied the isles of the Gentiles, the shore territories of the Mediterranean Sea in Europe and parts of Asia Minor. So the Mediterranean Sea is where? The Mediterranean Sea is here. That's where the Mediterranean Sea is. Okay? The Isles of the Gentiles, I'm about to show you. If I can find it. These are the Isles of the Gentiles. All these little islands right here. If you don't know what these are if you guys have taken history and or what we call in New York back in the day social studies, this is what the Greeks or the Spartans and the Athenians used, right? These are the Isles of the Gentiles that it's talking about initially. So let's move back to Tarshish, right? Let's go back here. My bad. Now, from Javan, the fourth son of Japheth, came the Ionians and all the Greeks. That's all he touches on, but that's all I need. So Japheth, his fourth son, Javan, he bore Tarshish. There it is. I'm sorry, I was getting caught up. Like, where is it? The sons of Javan. Elisha, yes. Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanium. So Tarshish is one of the sons of Javan. And what did this dude just say here? He said that from Javan came the Greeks, or came the Ionians, right? So let's look up where the Ionians were. The Ionians were here. Doesn't that look pretty similar to here? Yeah, because the Ionians were in this area. Now, do I think that all of the sons, like all four of the sons, were all the Ionians? Not necessarily, but they had to be close by, right? And that's why it's not just here, right? It's not just over here. They could be over here. They could be over here, right? But they're not going to be all the way over here. They're going to be relatively close to each other. So Tarshish, in my opinion, has to be around Greece. It has to be around the Ionians. These are the Ionians again. These are the Isles of the Gentiles that I was talking about in the scriptures. Now, in the scriptures, Tarshish is actually mentioned or referred to as being closely related with the Phoenicians, because Tartessus is an empire. There's a city, there's a Phoenician city of South Spain. So the Phoenicians originally, this is how the Phoenicians looked. The Phoenicians were a mixed race group of people. Some of them were very dark skinned. Some of them were very light skinned. Why? Because they were mixing with Javan, with the Ionians, right? With Tarshish. They were mixing with them. This is how some of the Phoenicians looked. This is also how some of the Phoenicians looked. This is also how some of the Phoenicians looked. Some look more European, some look more African. You can see that they all have different hair textures. Right? This is who they are, because they're Japheth mixed with Canaan. Now, because Tarshish is pretty much under the rule of the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians were a great trading people. You know, the Israelites, they had a close affinity with the Phoenicians. You know, they copied them in many ways. Tarshish did business with you because of your great wealth of goods and exchanged silver, iron, tin, and lead for your merchandise. What the Phoenicians did is that they gathered a bunch of resources from different places and they traded with people. You know, Tarshish also was a very rich, it seems like it was a rich area. It had a lot of resources. I'm trying to not lose my spots. Let me remember why I brought this up. The burden of Tyre, howl, ye ships of Tarshish. So they're called the ships of Tarshish because that's what the Phoenicians were known for. They were known for trading, right? What else was I trying to... I can't fully remember. What was I trying to convey? Let me read this real quick. Whoops. Okay, so this is Ezekiel Chapter 27, verse 34 through 36. In the time when thou shalt be broken by the seas in the depths of the waters, thy merchandise and all thy company in the midst of thee shall fall. All the inhabitants of the isles shall be astonished at thee, and their king shall be sore afraid. They shall be troubled in their countenance. The merchants among the people shall hiss at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shall be any more. So it's talking about the Israelites in the future. And the isles that it's talking about, the styles of the Gentiles. Let me see. Maybe I'm trying to figure out the reason why I pulled the scripture up. Let's go to verse 12. Tarshish was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of all kind of riches. with silver, iron, tin, and lead. They traded in thy fairs. Javan, Tubal, Meshech, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. See, this is naming a bunch of Japhethian people, but these were really the Phoenicians. I'm gonna get to the Phoenicians. Pliny the Elder remarked the 1st century CE that the Phoenicians invented trade. They were indeed the greatest traders of their time and owed much of their prosperity to the commercial ties across the Mediterranean and possibly, I guess he meant beyond. At first, they traded mainly with the Greeks, the Isles of the Gentiles, right? The Ionians. The Ionians, or the Greeks, were a mixed race or stock of people. You know, that's why you see them and they kind of have afros and stuff, just because they're a mixed race people. They're Japheth mixed with Canaan. As the Greeks began trading and colonizing across the Mediterranean, possibly with the help of Phoenician knowledge and technology, the two peoples appear to have divided the sea among themselves. The Phoenicians settled and dominated the southern and western shores, while the Greeks were active along the northern shores. There was rarely conflict, except mainly in the Sicilian Wars in the 6th century BCE, and they otherwise maintained their respective spheres of influence. So they worked well together. They were two wicked people in crime, right? The Greeks and the Phoenicians. You know, you had that side, we had this side pretty much. Let me skip down. From elsewhere, they obtained other materials, perhaps the most important being silver from, at least, Sardinia. Where's Sardinia? Sardinia is here. That is where Sardinia is. It's close to Italy. Did I lose my spot already? No, I didn't. I'm good. And the Iberian Peninsula. Tin was required, which, when smelted with copper from Cyprus, created the durable metal alloy bronze. So they were great traders because they made alliances with all the people across the Mediterranean, and they traded, you know, with a bunch of different people. And again, this is who they were. But they also, this is the statues from Iberia, all these chimera creatures, right? Because it wasn't just the Phoenicians and the Greeks. In the Ionian Peninsula, the Iberian Peninsula, you had a bunch of different nations. You had Ishmael, you had Ammon, you had Moab, you had Canaan, or the Phoenicians, you had Japheth, and you even had Israel. Oh, by the way, how could I forget? You had Esau. And of course, Esau, if you can tell, they were also from Eber. So you'd think, oh, they would look like us, right? Well, Esau, they mixed in with the Horites. And the Horites would be probably these things. You know, these hairy monsters, these hairy rapist monsters. And that's who they mixed in with. So, of course, they're going to look more so-called white. And they also mixed in with Japheth during the time of King Zepho. So all these different nations, they were mingled together. They were intermarrying, or they were marrying people who look like them. I don't know. But it's hard to, that's why I don't understand with this whole Esau stuff, because you don't even know who really is your enemy. Your enemy is those who hate the Most High. You don't know who Esau is. I don't know who Esau is. No one knows other than the Most High, because he knows who everyone is. So let me keep going on Tarshish, if I could find something else. Oh, my dad's being loud. Oh yeah, so this is 1 Kings 22, verse 48. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion Geber. Now let's read the same verse in a different translation. Now Jehoshaphat built a fleet of trading ships. What? I thought he built a... So when it's talking about Tarshish, it's not always talking about the literal place. In fact, most of the time it's talking about what the people of Tarshish were known for, which were ships to trade, trading ships, which is why it translated it in this way. So now Jehoshaphat built a fleet of trading ships to go to Ophir for gold, but they never set sail. They were wrecked at Ezion Geber. Now Ezion Geber is a city of Idumea. And when we read the whole chapter, we actually learn that that the Edomites, of course, always trying to disrupt us, said there was no king in Edom, a deputy was king. And they made ships to go to Ophir for gold, but they were broken at at Idumea. So I wanted to bring that out. I have to end this video soon because my dad being loud. So the Ionians, they were an ancient Hellenistic people inhabiting Attica, parts of Western Asia Minor, and the the islands in pre-classical and classical times. They also colonized the islands that became known as the Ionian Islands. So, bruh, let me see. So yes, Tatissos is a city in the Iberian Peninsula. Okay. They also believe that Tarshish is in Spain because of the similar name between Tarshish and Tartessos, right? Now, let me see. I don't think there's anything here. Let's just get to the video and then end the video. I hope I wasn't too jumbled. I was kind of rushed, but I'll do better next time. Is this sound on? What is it?
Things give directions to the lands of gold.
Now, before you guys, watch this video, I want to remind you, where is Tarshish? Where is Ophir? Where is Sheba or Sheba? I don't know where Sheba is, but I know that Sheba is in the East. It's in the Orients. It's not in Africa. We don't we just know where we kind of have a better idea of where it is, right? And we have a better idea where Tarshish is, and Ophir is supposedly in the Philippines, or at least in those Pacific Islands. Oh, wow, I forgot to read a comment, man. I'm so sorry. This comment was pure water that this person dropped, or people dropped, because there's more than one comment. Come on. Okay. So, somewhere in the Philippines, we call him Yahawah. In Visayas region, and their dialect, the word Yahweh means demon. Bro, my computer is gonna shut down. I'm gonna cry. I really will cry, bro. I really will cry. Let me just save this for later. Please don't shut down. Please don't shut down. Oh, let's try this again. I just want to load the comment. I should have took a screenshot. I looked this video up because I was just interested in, why people use certain names and stuff. But, I was just curious. Somewhere in the Philippines, we call them Yahawah. In the Visayas region and their dialect, the word Yahweh means demon/devil. And now we figured it out that Spain fooled our ancestors. They introduced Roman Catholicism or I don't know, and colonized us for about 333 years. They changed the meaning of Yahweh to Yahweh, in parentheses Yahawah, into demon so that we don't call his name. And we knew why they colonized us for that 3 centuries. Our country was the biblical Ophir, where King Solomon's source of gold, and my country has a lot of gold. Changed the name of my country to Philippines to honor their King Philip II. We are from the bloodline of Joktan, brother of Peleg and son of Eber. My ancestors were the Hebrew in the east, where Joktan went. And then I added the fact that, I added what I knew so I could get some information back. I read this guy's comment for the first time. I had a feeling that his actual name was actually Yahawah, but, it is what it is. Hiya, hiya. Hawa, hiya, it doesn't matter. The ancient Ophir was named Philippines today, the descendant of Eber in south, and also the place of Queen Sheba. So this person is saying the same thing. These people are from the Philippines, bro. They know what's up. They know what's good. But anyway, let's finish up with this video.
There is a lost land that occurs in the histories, myths, and traditions of the Phoenicians, Jews, Greeks, and Chinese. The missing piece of real estate was supposedly a part of a larger landmass that the Greeks called Aurea Chersonesus, the Golden Peninsula, in which Crete, the island of gold, would be found. China called it Chin Lin, Golden Neighbor, and a specific island within this larger area was given the name Chinchu, Gold Island. Similarly, India has tales of Suvarnabhumi, where Suvarnadvipa, the island of gold, is located. Jews and Phoenicians call this land by the most ancient name, the lands of Tarshish and Ophir. Direction.
Now, dodge the hijack. Tarshish and Ophir are not the same thing. They're confusing the two because of what it says in where it says here, the kings of Tarshish and the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Seba and Sheba shall offer gifts. These are 2 different places. They're not the same place, right? I know it's easy to confuse because Tarshish and the isles, it sounds like it could be talking about the Pacific Islands, but it's not. It's talking about the Isles of the Gentiles and the kings of the Pacifics. 2 different places. They both must be loaded with resources.
Number 1 comes from the Bible. The Bible tells us that after the flood, the world was repopulated by Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ancient texts, traditions, and maps show that the lands north of the Mediterranean went to Japheth, the continent of Europa. Ham got the southern lands west of the Red Sea, Africa, while Shem got the southern lands to the east, the continent of Asia. Eber, great-grandchild of...
This is wrong. Shem is more or less correct. I'm pretty sure Japan I think these islands are Shemitic lands. I don't see how the hell this is a Hamitic land. That I don't know why you would say that. Of course they think this coastline is this is Ophir or Joktan. This is the same stuff that the Spanish were pushing. This continent did not belong to anyone. Yes, people were here, but it didn't belong to anyone. The Most High constantly cleared people off this land. He didn't give this land to anyone officially. He gave it to us and then took it away. And this is where we're going. We're going to have all this land back. This is going to be our new home. But no, this is not Ophir. You know, this is not part of Ophir. No. Why would someone just stay on the coastline and that's it? Doesn't make sense. Why would someone just stay here and not move over here? None of that makes sense, bro.
Shem, son of Noah, was the father of Joktan, the father of Ophir. Ophir and his brothers were given the lands to the east of this southern domain. Now their settlement extended from Mesha as you go towards Sephar, the hill country of the east. Being one of the youngest sons of Joktan, Ophir may have taken southern lands of the far east, at the very ends of the earth. The Bible gives us a location for Ophir at the edge of Southeast Asia. But then scriptures often mention the land of Ophir in connection with the lands of Tarshish.
Yeah, it's in connection because of how rich it is. That's the only connection. It's not in connection with, like, you know, geography. And Madagascar is not the land, is not a Hamitic land, bro. Madagascar is a Shemitic land.
And this gives us further directions. Tarshish was the grandchild of Japheth by his son Javan. Japheth was the son of Noah, who was allotted the northern part, above the Mediterranean Sea.
Where's the Mediterranean Sea? Is the Mediterranean Sea over here? No, the Mediterranean Sea is over here. And if the Isles of the Gentiles or the other sons of Javan were all over here, why would Tarshish be all the way over here? That's what I mean. Dodge the hijack.
We are told regarding Tarshish and his brothers that from these the coastlands of the nations were separated into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their families, into their nations. So we know that Tarshish came from somewhere in the northern region, and he must have gone east, since that's where Ophir went, north and east. The Bible also tells us that Tarshish lived in the islands at the very ends of the earth. So we're looking for islands that are at the very end of the earth, where north meets south. These
I have to
islands
find
would
that
have at
scripture.
least two very distinct indigenous people groups, the descendants of Ophir, who lived on the hills and mountains, similar to our Itas, and the children of Tarshish, who settled along the coastlands of the rivers and seas, like our Austronesian people. Direction number 2 comes from 2nd century Greece, Ptolemy's world map. Applying
See, what does not make sense is that the people of Tarshish, they would not be in Shemitic lands. You have to understand scriptures entirely. Tarshish, the people of Tarshish, they would not be in someone else's lands. They'd be in their own lands. Tarshish are the descendants of Japheth. Japheth got the cold lands. They didn't get shared lands. No one got shared lands. What? Like, come on, bro.
in mathematics to the study of Earth's geography, 2nd century Ptolemy used scientific methods to project the sphere of the Earth onto a flat surface, making a world map that listed 8,000 places, including the Aurea Chersonesus, the Golden Peninsula, where Chryse, Gold Island, could be found. Scholars believe that the area he referred to as the Golden Peninsula is the area we know today as the Malay Peninsula. Number 3. The Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, a guide to navigation and trade in the waters of the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and Indian Ocean. The Periplus of the Erythraean Sea gives us directions on how to get to Chryse, the island of gold. And just opposite the river Ganges, there is an island in the ocean, the last part of the inhabited world toward the east, under the rising sun itself. It is called Chryse. The Periplus also tells us that China was directly north of Chryse. After this region, under the very north, the sea outside ending in a land called This, China. If one were to draw an eastward line from the mouth of the Ganges, as directed by the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, to the last large inhabited island in the ocean, we hit the Philippines. Then from the Philippines, a line drawn north would hit China.
Very good.
Number 4.
You guys heard that? No, I'm not gonna rewind, but it pretty much said that that island, whatever it was called, I think I don't know how to say it. This word, Charish, this was towards the east and right south of China. So there's only one place that can be.
Numero 98. A guide to navigation and trade like the Periplus, compiled by our Spanish colonizers, give directions from the African coast to the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, and the Indian Ocean to the Ganges River. From the Ganges, it seems that they traveled the inland rivers to the Asian kingdoms, under the heading Lusos, in the subheading Ophir, followed by these details. In front of this mentioned China and its land, there are many islands in the sea, and beyond these islands, a land very large that they say it is tierra firme, and other islands where every year there used to arrive 3 or 4 juncos with white people that are big merchants and very wealthy, and they bring lots of gold and bars and silver, and
Do you guys hear this? I'm gonna read back. I'm gonna go back.
islands where every year
Listen.
there used to arrive 3 or 4 juncos with white people that are big merchants and very wealthy, and they bring lots of gold and bars and silver and silk and lots of very good wheat and very beautiful porcelains. And
So these so-called white people go around collecting all of these things that can only be found in certain lands. I'm pretty sure you know who these white people are, but they aren't white.
other things that the Chinese carry. To those they call
You're gonna see.
Lusos, and those of Malak, Malaysia, say they are better people and better traders and wealthier and better dressed and more honest than the Chinese. The Philippine archipelago with the large land masses of Luzon and Mindanao, strategically located in the sea between China and Malaysia, with a long history of trade with both nations, fit the geographical details. White merchants.
Now, you know what this looks like? They said that these are Phoenicians, and these are white merchants. Now, what white person looks like this? What white person has woolly hair, or at least sort of woolly hair? Because these are not white people, these are biracial people. This is the Malay Peninsula, but I was looking for that Phoenician what the hell? Why would you type things in for me? Oops. Oh. This is not white people, bro. You know, you can tell that they have some sort of African influence in them. Oh, there was where is it, bro? This is one of them, yes. See this? There was one specifically. You have to type in black because there's something wrong with these people. Whatever, man. You get the point. You know, this is an ancient Canaanite, right? Looks like Tyler the Creator. You know, the Canaanites did not look only one way. Canaanites were a mixed stock of people. They were all mixing with each other. Let's finish this video.
Described by others as bearded men, could have been the few surviving Phoenician merchants.
How the hell does this look like a white person? Come on, bro.
Who may have later settled and integrated with the Philippine population.
That hair is not white at all.
Number 5. The Voyages and Adventures of Ferdinand Mendez Pinto. Traveling in the service of the Portuguese crown, Ferdinand Mendez Pinto wrote in his journal of his shipwreck on the island of Lusos while passing through Malaya archipelago. He described Lusos as belonging to a large group of islands that had abundant resources of gold and silver. In his journal, he had the audacity to give specific details on the location of the gold island, putting it in a latitude 9 and 20 on a meridian similar to that of Japan. Directions that lead us to the very heart of the Philippines, the northern shores of Mindanao, near Butuan and Agusan.
Yep, if you go south from Japan, you'll land in the Philippines.
Japan is around 135 degrees, while Philippines is at 125 degrees. But the meridian was not officially set until 1851, so for someone living in the 1500s, he did very well. The story of his shipwreck was deemed so outrageous that it was omitted from his book when it was first published. This did not stop Pinto from campaigning to the Portuguese crown, who had established colonies, conquered all along the southern coast, as Malacca, Bauda, Maluco, Sunda, Borneo, and Timor.
Okay, so I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm sorry if this was a kind of a messy lesson, but I just wanted to get some of this information out here because this is very important, man. You know, very important stuff. So that's it. Laggy computer. Until the next time, shalom.